What's up, guys? Welcome to the Nifty Experience. I'm Preston. Over here is my main man, Will. And
What's up?
We're talking about video today.
We're talking about
I'm
video.
super excited about this one. This is my background. This is my wheelhouse.
I know you're excited for this one.
But before we get into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so that way you know every time we post a new video.
Yes, you do not want to miss any of these because they're pretty entertaining.
I think so, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about video. You seem pretty excited this
I'm
time.
pumped, man.
You just want me to ask you some questions about video?
Let's go into it.
Okay, when did you start making videos?
I first got into video around 2007. I started getting involved in my church, and they were needing some help with their Sunday services, so I was running camera during services, and from there I got a little bit more involved and started filming different events, and my passion, my love for video continued to grow. I started making some highlight videos for the events, and I was able to turn it into, at the end of the day, I was able to turn it into a career. I was able to work for different nonprofits over the past 7 years, and I've been able to help out a whole lot of different businesses, nonprofits, and churches with help telling their story through video.
What made you like it so much?
I think it's because video is such a popular tool, because the theory is you can tell the story of a picture with 1,000 words. And I think with video, it goes so much further because not only can you see the emotion on someone's face or see the mood behind an object, but you also have that additional element of audio and music and any other motion graphics or effects that you want to use. It can tell the story that much further.
Yeah, I mean, you get 1,000 images, so really you have like 1,000,000 words in a video.
Exactly.
So it makes sense.
Yeah.
So you fell in love with it back when you started around like 2007, which means you've been doing this for 14 years now.
Yeah.
So do you have any, like, what's the big thing that you always go back to anytime you're shooting a video? What do you have to remind yourself in any shoot? What's the most important thing?
Make sure that you're planned ahead of time. One thing that's been a huge help for me has been making sure that you have a shot list. Whenever you go into any video shoot, you want to have that pre-production meeting with your videographer or your director, whoever it is that you're collaborating with. And being able to know exactly what's going to happen at each moment is going to save you so many headaches. Because you're not going to have any guesses of what the video is going to turn out to be. You know exactly what's going to happen, and any good video director will know exactly how to run the shoot. That they'll also be making sure that they're shooting everything that needs to get shot.
Nice. Okay, sweet. Well, I know a lot of people try to think that they're super great photographers or videographers because they post something cool on their Instagram or they have a video go viral. But let's actually like drill in really quick on like 3 really, really important parts of videography. Let's talk a little bit about aperture, ISO, and let's talk a little bit about kind of some different lenses for different shots.
Sure.
So let's start off, explain what aperture is for someone who doesn't have any idea what that word even means in myself, because I don't know what that word means.
Yeah, of course. Aperture lets you know how much light is let into the camera. When your aperture is low, that means your lens is wide open. A high aperture lets in significantly less light because the opening is so small. This has a huge distinction on your depth of field. On a lens, you'll see like an f/2.8. So that right there, you can have a 2.8 aperture, which means that you could probably have your nose in focus, but your ear would be out of focus.
Okay,
The
so basically portrait mode on the iPhone.
Basically, yeah. That's a good way. That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
So, and actually, with portrait mode, you can edit the aperture.
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that shows the depth of field.
Oh.
So the higher the number, the deeper depth of field. So if your f-stop's at like 11, that would be perfectly in focus if we were tighter in. And really, the closer you are to a subject will really define. It'll really show how shallow or deep your aperture is.
Gotcha. Okay, so then take that and tell us a little bit about ISO and then how the two relate to each other.
So ISO is your exposure. The lower the number, the less light that's needed. So if you are shooting outside, more than likely you're gonna in daylight you're gonna be shooting at 100 ISO. So very little light is gonna be coming in. Whenever you are shooting in a darker area or outside at night, more light is going to need to be brought into the camera. So you're going to need to crank that ISO up to 1600, 2000, 4000, depending on your camera and how much light your camera can actually take in without actually getting grainy. And those two work really hand in hand, because also with the more shallow of an aperture, it also makes the image brighter. So you're really working between those two things to make sure that you're getting not only the right brightness, but also the right amount of depth of field that you need for your shot.
So really, like, you can mix and match a bunch of, apertures and exposures to get the kind of feel you want. And that
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that probably differs with different videographers, people, we probably see it in cinema a lot too.
Sure, yeah, there's a lot of stylistic preference in it. But the important thing that you cannot really sacrifice is your shutter speed. At a bare minimum, your shutter speed needs to be twice the amount of your frame rate. So right now we're watching this video in 24 frames per second. That's what the eye is most natural in seeing. So you'll see that a lot in films and on primetime television shows. You'll also see 30 frames per second. You'll see that a lot on like the news or daytime talk shows or daytime soap operas.
Or TikTok, for example.
Or
too.
TikTok, yeah.
Reels also film in 30 frames per second default, unless you switch it to 60 frames or using the back camera.
And so I'm glad that you also bring that up. So 60 frames per second, you're usually shooting with 60 or 120 frames, or really anything higher than 60, with the purpose of slowing it down. That's how you're getting that real silky smooth, buttery slow-mo shots that you see that people always freak out over. And at the same time, that shutter speed needs to stay double of what your frame rate is. Otherwise, you're gonna sacrifice it. So whenever you're shooting probably about a 50 frame rate, if I'm moving my hand like this, it's gonna be it's gonna kind of all blend together. But if you're shooting at 200 or 400 shutter speed, you're gonna see the hand, you're not gonna see any kind of distinction. Like, the hand is gonna be clear. And so it's stuff like that all these different things factor into what makes a good shot.
Nice. So you heard it here, everybody. These are Preston's tips. He's been in the business for 14 years. These are arguably the most important things that you should know if you want to try doing video for yourself. And I think a lot of people will hear this, but they'll get hung up on like, well, I don't have a super nice camera. I don't have whatever. Explain to everybody really, like, what can you work with? Like, what's the bare minimum?
Can you pass me that thing right there?
Oh, yeah, sure. You mean this broken iPhone?
This iPhone. Huh. You can shoot in 4K with this. You can shoot at 60 frames per second on an iPhone. Really, it's just a matter of working those settings. Those iPhones can shoot such a high quality now to where you don't really need to have that excuse. Really, where you need to be putting your focus in is making sure that you have good audio. Because audio is half of video. If your audio quality is bad, unless it's like a TikTok, this one TikTok that I enjoy is this French guy that's trying to pronounce English words, and he has the microphone right here.
So good.
So there's sometimes where it's intentionally bad, but if you're wanting to produce something high quality, you need to have good quality audio.
Yeah, man, for sure. And so are there different types of microphones for different scenarios, like depending on what you want to film, or like what's something that you would recommend? I mean, I know we're using these like lapel mics, and you're using a clip-on right back there, so. Yeah,
so whenever you're shooting in an indoor controlled setting, those are really helpful. You can also use a shotgun mic that you can put on a boom pole, which our boom pole is coming in next week, which I'm really excited for. That'll save me tons of time on editing. But having that overhead boom pole is really good whenever you're trying to record multiple people. So those are really the two primary forms of audio, is having like a lavalier or a lapel, and then having a boom.
Nice. So really, you don't need all that much to make good video.
You don't.
Audio is obviously important, but even like you can get mics like this that aren't even as complex, but $20, $30, $40. I mean, you can get stuff and not have to break the bank to do so.
Absolutely. And we can also attach a couple of links to some good cheap microphones that you can connect to your phone, or you can connect it to a camera that will do the job just as well. So that will go into the description. If you don't have the money for lighting, natural light is also a really great way. We actually just recently shot a video for a photographer down in a studio in downtown Dallas, and it was a natural light studio, and we're able to get some really good clean colors by utilizing just really tall windows.
Yeah, the sun's your best friend, so I hear.
Exactly. If you know how to use the sun well and making sure that your angles are right, then that's a great alternative. Otherwise, depending on what you need, if you're doing more of like a kind of vlog, you can get a good ring light off of Amazon or from B&H, or you can use things like this that are softbox lights that will provide more of a softer kind of covering on the face.
All right, so we've touched on a couple things so far. Let's talk about lenses real quick.
Yep.
And there's a little bit of history with lenses because Nifty 50, there's some intentionality behind that name. So you want to explain a little bit why we have 50 in our name?
Absolutely. So the Nifty 50 is a very popular lens in the photo and film community. It's the nickname for a 50 millimeter prime lens that is going to be in pretty much any photographer, videographer's kit bag. And it has a really shallow depth of field. It's at a good focal length to where it doesn't alter your face that much. It gives a really good natural look and can also give a really nice creative shallow depth of field. Mm-hmm. So that's been at the heart of what we do. So that's a very popular lens. There's also several other lenses that we use. The lens that we're shooting with is a Sigma 24-70 with a fixed 2.8 aperture. So that's pretty much my go-to lens for any wedding I shoot, any promo video I shoot, any interview. That is my favorite lens. It's very versatile, and it's just the best.
So talking about different lenses, if you were to shoot, like you said, for a wedding, you would use the lens that we're using right now. Mm-hmm. If you were shooting something, let's say, for a small business where you're trying to get a very intimate organization and kind of capture all of the emotions and work ethic behind that, what goes into the thought process behind picking a lens?
Absolutely. So one thing is that with different focal lengths, whenever we're filming people, if you're using a certain prime lens, fixed distance can alter how your face will look. So you want to find a good focal length that's natural. So I would say anywhere from 50 to 85 millimeters. So whether you're doing something that's like a 24-70 that you can change the zoom on it, or if you're using a prime lens where you can't change it, then I would say either a 50 or an 85 millimeter. And if you're shooting B-roll, it really depends on the kind of B-roll that you're shooting. You can go with a 35 millimeter, you can go with an 85, you can go with a 135. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, and it would depend on the industry and what product or service that they're trying to display.
Okay, nice. And then because I heard you say this, and this is honestly a good thing to talk about, what is B-roll? Explain that to someone who has never heard what B-roll is.
So what you're watching right here is A-roll. That's the primary focus. That's the main conversation that's happening. B-roll is supplemental. Let's say that you're filming for a gym and you're interviewing the personal trainer, and then the B-roll is someone that's working out, or we're talking about a certain fitness machine or certain weight class or whatever. That would be the supplemental B-roll.
Gotcha. So it's basically the extra footage that you
Exactly.
see. Okay, cool. So kind of thinking about if I wanted to start filming something. Mm-hmm. I have my iPhone, I have my microphone. I asked you a little earlier about what's like the most important thing to remember, but if you were to give someone that has never shot a video before one piece of advice going into just trying it out for the first time, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't be afraid to fail. Because whenever you're creating something for the first time, you're jumping into something new. This is something completely foreign to you, and the first several times that you're going to do this, it's not going to be great all the time. So leaning into it and using these opportunities as times to learn and making notes of what worked and what didn't go well and how you can change those things moving forward. Just the fact that you're picking up a camera and creating something from scratch is amazing. So go out there and create.
And you want to take it home?
Yeah. Dude, I really enjoyed this conversation.
I know. This was good.
I could go on for hours about video.
And I learned quite a bit.
Good. And I mean, how long have we known each other? A couple of years now?
A couple years.
So I'm glad that I could teach you something during this short time. Just once again, if you haven't done so already, destroy that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm.
Obliterate the like button!
If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. We are so appreciative of our subscribers. And if you haven't done so already, hit that bell and get notified every time that we post a new video.
Smash the bell! Sorry, you got really into the like button, so I thought I'd get into,
I love it.
Into the bell. Okay.
But thank you so much for watching.
See you later.